What should a beginner be looking for in a drone?
I sort of separate beginner drones into two categories. A great quality drone that I would truly recommend that you use and fly as a beginner. And then there's like this other class of drones that I kind of consider like trash drones, but they are actually something I recommend.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Your Drone Questions Answered. Today I'm with Sally French, also known as the Drone Girl. Thanks for joining me, Sally.
Thanks for having me.
So, Sally, can you just start off by kind of giving our viewers just an introduction of yourself, your background with drones, particularly as the Drone Girl?
Yes. So I started the Drone Girl back in 2013, 10 years ago. And like many of you listening who want to know how to get into drones, 10 years ago, I had no idea what I was doing and I was looking for the best drone. The best one available was a DJI Phantom. And I'm talking the old school Phantom with no camera attached to it. And it was a lot of trial and error, really difficult to fly. These days, it's so much easier and there's so many more options. I think we're going to talk about that. But especially 10 years ago, I was trying to figure it out myself. So many people knew I was interested in figuring out drones, and people started messaging me questions. I started my blog simply to post my own drone videos, but all these questions started coming in from people wondering, what drone should I buy? Where can I fly? Do I need a license? What are the rules? And so the Drone Girl evolved in response to those people to answer those questions. Now I post news, I post reviews, and I love answering questions like these. What beginner drone should I get?
Okay, well, then I'm glad you're here. You are the perfect person to answer this question. What should a beginner be looking for in a drone?
You think it sort of comes down to like what we want to define a beginner as. And so I sort of separate beginner drones into two categories. There's sort of like a great quality drone that I would truly recommend that you use and fly as a beginner. And then there's like this other class of drones that I kind of consider like trash drones, but they are actually something I recommend. And these trash drones, they cost less than $100. Honestly, they cost less than $30. And I call them this because if you trash them, it's not a big deal. It's $30. These drones are really difficult to fly. They're honestly a huge headache to fly, but that's why I like them. So I mentioned that my first drone that I started flying was a DJI Phantom, and they didn't have all these fancy features that drones have now. There was no return to home, there was no press a button and it automatically takes off. You couldn't even see what the camera feed was seeing in real time. You had to land the drone and then just like kind of crapshoot, hope that like the drone was angled at the right angle. And then you would watch your GoPro footage after the fact. And I think this made me a better pilot because it was such a rough experience that now I fly one of these better drones and I'm like, I can do anything. And so, very similarly, I actually recommend that people just go wherever you buy stuff, which is probably Amazon, just search for drone, look for like the cheapest one, and there's no great recommendation I have. Like, honestly, cheaper is better. And toy around with it because if you crash that drone, first off, it's not a big loss. It's, $20, $30. You don't want to crash your 200 or $2,000 drone into the pool. But it's a really good way to truly be comfortable flying drones. If you can fly one of these crappy $20 drones, absolutely. Once you go to buy a drone from a company like DJI, you'll be totally good.
You mentioned just kind of cheap under $100 kind of drones. What companies make those sort of drones?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there are no, like, real brand names.
Okay.
It's typically, like, these these, like, almost fly-by-night companies, and they're, like, really sketchy, but, like, that is fine if you're just getting into drones, especially, if you're running a school program and you're, like, handing these drones to kids. Like, often these drones are really, really light, so if they do crash them, like, it's not really a big deal, it's not gonna hurt anything or, like, ding up the walls. And so, like, literally anything you can find. But then, we start to get into sort of higher tiers. So, kind of like the lowest quality drone that I would recommend that has a brand name is the Tello drone. So, that is from a company affiliated with DJI. DJI has basically endorsed them. They use DJI parts, and it's from a company called Rise. The Tello drone is really interesting because it typically costs $100. So even if you're like brand new and you're like, I don't even know if I want to commit $100, that's still a lot of money. You don't necessarily need to go for the Tello, but if you do want to have kind of that better quality experience, the Tello provides that. It's got the camera with the real time feed back to your phone so you can see exactly what the camera's seeing. It is reliable, it is safe, and there are a lot of other features with the Tello that make it really appealing. I mentioned kids in schools. The Tello actually has software integration that allows you to program it in a sense. So it's a really great STEM tool that you can kind of program the flights on your computer and then the drone will fly that route. So I recommend that for beginners. I recommend it for especially people who want to like learn a little bit more about STEM.
Great, great. And that's an interesting point too, because I know I obviously with a lot of drones, and especially the nicer drones, you can program routes, which seems like a safety feature in some ways, but you gotta also know how to use it, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then so once you've kind of like progressed past the Tello drone, because even that's not something that when someone says, I'm going on my trip to Hawaii, I want a great drone to be able to photograph me on my hikes or my beach. I probably wouldn't really recommend a Tello drone for that. It's so small, it's not going to hold up in the wind. You're not going to want to fly that drone over the beach. So that's when we start to get into kind of better quality drones. So you asked like what's the best beginner drone? And like the reality is DJI Mavics are so easy to fly now. These are great drones. If you're someone who's interested in photography or sort of like an entry level enterprise use case, these drones, like you don't need to be scared to fly them. I would be way more scared trying to fly the $30 drone than like something like a DJI Mavic. Um, Drones now 10 years ahead of when I started, they're easy to fly, they're safe to fly, they have so many features, and the higher end the drone, the more safety features they have. So something like a Mavic is going to have sense and avoid. So if you're flying into a tree and you keep gassing it and you keep telling it to go, a drone with a sensor is going to actually stop and it's not going to fly into the tree even if you gas it all the way. It's just going to kind of hover there. And so the reality is a more expensive drone is going to be the best for beginners. Of course, I think the big question that everyone has is I'm a beginner, why should I spend more than $1,000 on a drone? And the reality is if you're a beginner, cost is a huge consideration. If you have millions of dollars, first, I want to be friends with you, but second, you should be buying the Mavic. If you don't, there are different DJI drones in particular that are really easy and safe to fly. You're looking at something like the Mavic Mini line. The Mavic Air line is a little bit cheaper. And that's where I would recommend a beginner go into, especially with beginners. I see a lot of people who are really excited about drones to get into it, and I'm so excited for them, but then that excitement sadly wanes, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Maybe they realize that, it's just too takes too much time to edit, the footage, post the footage online. They're not interested in it. Maybe they realize like they're going to have to, get licensed to do official photography work and sell that, and they don't want to do that. They're going to have to register their drone if it's over 249 grams. Maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they didn't realize that they live near an airport. A lot of people surprisingly don't realize like what a radius really is from the airport that you can't fly drones, or you just live in some other place that you can't fly. You might think I've got this great park, and then suddenly the park has this rule that you can't fly drones there, and a private park is allowed to make whatever rules they want. And so there are a lot of people who end up not flying drones as much as they thought, which is why I would discourage you from investing in this $1,000+ drone and going for something a little bit cheaper.
That makes a lot of sense. And so, I mean, to answer the question, there's drones like the DJI Mavic, which is a great drone, great for beginners, has a lot of safety features built into it, but they're kind of some nuances to that, and really, do you want to spend that much for something you may not use? Or despite all the safety features, I'm sure you could still go crazy and accidentally crash that drone, and so it's good to practice on a beginner cheap drone.
Yeah, I remember when the first DJI Phantom 4 came out, and it had a sensor in the front, but it didn't have sensors on all sides the way many Mavic drones or even like something like the California-based Skydio drone has. They have more comprehensive sensors so they can see all around them. But I had gotten this Phantom 4, and my friend had never flown a drone before, and I said, "Hey, Helen, you should fly this drone. It's super easy to fly. You can't crash it. It's got a sensor in the front, so there's no way you can crash this." I hand her the controllers, and immediately she gasses it to the right. The drone flies all the way to the right and crashes right into a tree. Um, so I was like, darn it. But these days, drones do have sensors on more sides. Of course, the more expensive the drone, the more sensors they're going to have. Likewise, a really cheap drone probably won't have sensors. So I actually recently looked at the best drones under $500 because I kind of feel like that's a really good price point for a beginner. Again, unless you have like infinite money, you're probably not spending more than $500 on a brand new hobby. And so at kind of the cheapest price point, you have the DJI Mini SE. This drone starts at $300. It does not have any obstacle avoidance sensors. If you're flying in just like big open parks, you're just flying over the beach, there's nothing you're going to crash into. That's totally fine. You just have to be aware that if you're flying with your friend Helen and she gasses it all the way to the right and doesn't take her finger off the sticks, it is going to crash into something. But for a beginner, it's got a great quality camera. It shoots 2.7K video, which isn't as high as the 4K video that we're used to seeing with some of the better quality drones. But if you're just posting your videos to, TikTok or Instagram Reels, 2.7K is more than enough. Of course, if you're like actually taking videos for some sort of like documentary or something like that, you're going to want 4K. But in that case, you probably want something better than a beginner drone anyway.
Well, that makes sense. And so you're really balancing, considering cost with safety features plus the cool features that everyone's looking for in a drone.
Yes, and so actually DJI recently launched, the DJI Mini 2 SE. That drone is really interesting, and I think it kind of strikes that balance of being affordable while having better features than the DJI Mini SE, which I just talked about.
Any other points that someone should be considering as a beginner when they're buying their first drone?
Yeah, I think you should just be really realistic about what you're using the drone for and what you're looking for. So, if you are a videographer and you think like I want to shoot films that are going to go like up on YouTube for a class project, something like that, and you want it to be high quality, you might want to opt for that 4K video, in which case you're going to have to pay more. The DJI Mini 2 offers 4K video, but that costs $450, but again, could be worth it. I would also, really just think like, do you want to start off with that toy drone just to kind of get the feel of controlling it in your hands? I think it's totally worth just like spending the $30 initially to try to fly your first drone for the first time. Realize that it is going to be frustrating, but have that knowledge that when you go to fly a better expensive drone, it's going to be that much easier. I get so many people who ask for a drone under $500 that is less than 249 grams, that is made in America. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is an impossible task. If anyone has that, like that would be amazing. But there are always trade offs. If you do want a made in America drone, though, the best American drone company for consumers is Skydio. They're based in California. They've got a really great follow me drone. So it's got great sensors to avoid objects on all sides. It's cool. It can like literally follow you, especially if you're doing something like action sports and you want it to, follow you on the surfboard around the waves, all that. It can do that. And it's got an excellent camera as well.
A lot for our audience to consider, and it really is. It sounds like it's up to the individual what's more important to them. The Drone Girl, you can catch her at thedronegirl.com for more information on this. Thanks again for joining me, Sally.
Thanks for having me.
And you can still submit your question about drones, and we'll get it answered for you. Just go ahead and submit it at ydqa.io, and we'll get it answered. Until then, we'll just see you in the sky.